Hey there, it's Pete Thorn. Welcome to my studio. I'm here for Vintage King, and we're going to take a look at the JHS Colour Box today. You heard me use it on all the parts on that song at the beginning of the video. I ran everything through it, including the drums and keys, and so I'm going to break apart that song in a second here and show you how I created all those sounds using the Colour Box. But first, a bit of history on this unit. It's an extremely unique pedal, and its origins are in old console design from that golden age of the late 60s through the early 70s when companies like EMI and Neve were making these incredible recording consoles, and then bands like Pink Floyd and the Beatles were pushing them to the limit to get entirely new sounds no one had heard before. When you think about the guitar sound on the Beatles' Revolution, that crazy DI distorted guitar, you know, I heard people bought that record and were putting it on and then saying there must be something wrong with this, and they'd take it back to the store and return it because nobody had ever heard a sound like that. So it was so innovative and cool. Another good example is maybe Reelin' in the Years by Steely Dan, that kind of really dirty, distorted DI guitar tone, really innovative. So this box is really versatile, as I say. You know, it's got an XLR input and a 1/4 inch input, so you can use it like a mic pre if you want. You can actually plug a microphone into it, or you can run a DI into it. You can run a guitar or bass directly into it, or keys. The outputs, it's got a XLR out as well as a 1/4 inch out. So, you can patch it any way you can pretty much think of. If you want to run it on an insert of your recording console and run sounds through it that way, or run it in front of an amp and use it like a fuzz box, it works terrific for that. It's got a 3-band EQ, so you've got treble, middle, and bass controls there. And then it's got a high-pass filter here that's useful for cleaning up the low end, if you like. And then there's this step control that basically increases gain in between two different gain stages, as I understand it, in the pedal. And then there's a preamp control and a master control, much like you would find on a lot of different guitar amps. So if you want a cleaner sound, you keep the preamp volume low, crank up the master. If you want to grind it up and get it dirtier, you just bring up that preamp control. And the preamp control and the step control work in tandem to kind of control the distortion and harmonic content that's going on within the pedal. Okay, so let's break down that song now that I recorded at the beginning of the video and talk a bit more about the Colour Box and what you can do with it. Okay, so let's talk about drums for a sec. A lot of people ask me about my drum tracks and how I come up with drums. So this is like one cool trick you can use for sure to come up with a cool sounding drum track. I used Stephen Slate drums within Logic and came up with a really cool sounding drum part. And once I had that, I bust the whole drum sound out and output on my interface and went into the XLR in on the Colour Box, came out of the XLR out back into my interface and enabled another track in Logic. So what I had was a mono track now that I could use the Colour Box to kind of process things. So I crunched up the drums pretty good, using the preamp gain, EQ'd things, and had the step control up pretty high. And once I was happy with the sound, I just printed that track into Logic. So now I had a mono track processed through the Colour Box that was real dirty and distorted. So I'm going to play you what the results sound like now. The first thing you'll hear is the clean drum track. The next thing you'll hear is the mono Colour Box processed drum track. And then you're going to hear them blended together, and that's how I used the drums in the mix, was the blend. And you can create some really cool hybrid dirty and clean sounds doing things like this using a unit like the Colour Box. Okay, here we go. So for the bass tone, I just plugged my bass guitar right into the 1/4 inch in on the Colour Box, came 1/4 inch out into my recording interface, and then I used a plug-in for a bass amp sound. But I kept the plug-in real clean, and I used the Colour Box for all the grind you hear in the bass track. So essentially the sound is what you would get if you plugged this unit right into a bass amp. Obviously a really terrific sounding overdrive fuzz kind of sound for bass. It stays really fat. It's got a ton of grind and girth. Just sounds really cool on bass guitar. All right, let's check it out one more time. So for the keyboard part, I processed it exactly like I did the drum track. I came up with an electric piano sound within Logic and played this really simple part because I don't know how to play keyboards. And then I sent it out an output on my interface through the Colour Box back into my interface in Logic, and then printed the Colour Box processed track. Now I made a mistake because I was still bussing my drums out the same output, and so what you're going to hear in a second here is the clean keyboard part, and then you're going to hear my real dirty keyboard part that was processed through the Colour Box track, and there's also drums on that track, and I didn't realize this till today. But then you'll hear the blended keyboard part with the clean part and the dirty part together, and drums as well. But whatever, it all comes out in the wash, so to speak, and sounds cool in the mix. Okay, here we go. So for the acoustic guitar part, I used this microphone right here and just plugged it right into the XLR input on the Colour Box. This is a ribbon mic, an SEVR1, and that's how I recorded the stereo pair of acoustics. I engaged the high-pass filter to kind of clean up the low end a bit, and yeah, it works really well as kind of a very colored sort of mic pre for acoustics or vocals or whatever you want. I should mention that it doesn't have phantom power, so if you want to use a condenser mic with this box, you'll have to use an external phantom power supply, but those are available pretty cheap and easy if you need that. Okay, here we go. Let's check out the stereo pair of acoustics. So for the electric guitar melody DI part, I just plugged my my guitar right into the 1/4 inch in on the Colour Box, came out of the output right into my interface, and printed that track right into Logic. No other processing. It's totally dry DI distorted guitar. So similar to that kind of really aggressive, gnarly Beatles Revolution kind of guitar tone. Okay, let's check out this part. Okay, last but not least, I plugged my Les Paul into the Colour Box, came out of the Colour Box into this Vox AC15 back here, and I set the amp quite clean, and then I had the Colour Box set up for all the kind of fuzz and grind. It's a real fat, gnarly fuzz tone. All right, let's check out this part. Okay, thanks for watching my video on the JHS Colour Box. Really unique tone shaping tool. It's hard to do anything kind of in the realm of tone shaper, overdrive, fuzz, distortion that's unique these days, but these guys have done it. I think it's a really cool pedal. Great that you can use it in front of an amp and also you know, DI into a recording interface, that kind of thing, and shape sounds with it. It's just a lot of fun. Okay, check it out further at the Vintage King website. Give the guys at Vintage King a call if you got any questions on it, and I will see you very soon for more gear demos. I am Pete Thorn. See ya.